Okay, so the next step is, you see all the wires are in there. I need to mount the switch. And in order to mount the switch, first off, the switch I'm using is a JR 3-wire switch you get from Horizon Hobby. First thing I did was label them. So the on side of the switch is the one side of the switch that has one wire, that's the on side, and that on side goes to the receiver, so it's labeled on side to the receiver. And then the two other ones, the one in blue is the off side of the switch, and it goes this wider one goes to the battery, and the other side of the on side of the switch, I'm sorry, the off side of the switch, it says off side that you use to charge. So you don't have to pull the battery out, you can just charge it in place. Switch I've been using a long time, works well. And I've also taken the front cover off, okay, and the front cover says on and off. And so we want the on side to the back of the battery, back to the rear of the airplane, the off side to the front. You can do it the other way, but 95% of the airplanes you're going to see out there with a switch, the on side is going to be to the back. Okay, so I'm going to use the switch cover as a template to know where to drill the holes and cut out the little section where the switch comes through. So I'm using my 5/64 bit that I use for servos, drilling servo holes, and that's just the right size. I've already drilled the first one here. Okay. I wanted it to be in this black area, and I wanted it to be down far enough, and so that the switch will fit underneath the lip of where the wing sits. And I'm not going to care if this is exactly 100% level, but what I do care about is that the holes are the right distance. So I'm going to put this drill bit in here, and then I'm going to start drilling the other side. And yes, I do own 2 of these drill bits, but you could use a standard 5/64 and it will work fine. Okay, so now you know that those 2 holes are going to be just in the right spot. Okay, let me ream that hole out a little bit, and that'll be just fine. Okay, so the next step is to use these this front cover as a pattern to know exactly where to cut that opening. And to do that, I'm going to run quickly in here and get my trusty blade, hobby knife. Now I use it right now just to score where it's going to be. I'm not going to try to cut it all the way through. Okay. All I want to do is use the hobby knife as a marker to know where to cut. Okay. Now the cutting, if you're slightly oversized, just slightly oversized, you'll it'll be covered up by the plate. So now I'm going to use the hobby knife very carefully to just score this a number of times. Okay, and you're going through balsa on this airplane, not I think. No, that's balsa plywood. It is plywood. All right, because it's plywood, it's going to take me a while to do it. I'm going to stop the camera, but you've seen I've scored it, and now I'm going to hold the airplane closer so I can see it better, and just cut that out. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've managed to cut through. It was balsa plywood. It is a little bit tougher than regular balsa, which is why they use it. But that's okay. So you can see I've cut the little square out. Now I'm going to just make sure that okay, remember the on side of the switch is to be the back, and that's the one wire, so the switch should go in that direction, and the button is on the off side, so it'll go about there. Okay, and this is the toughest part. This may take a try or two to get it right. And basically what you need to do here is make sure that the one side gets in. And then once you get it in the hole, you can, excuse my hands, I gotta hold this. Okay, did something wrong already. Before you screw that one in, you can get it started fine, and then you can push it forward like this, but make sure that the switch, first off, is the off side is to the front. That's good. And make sure that the switch is covering, the switch plate is covering the switch before you screw it down. And then I'll tighten this side. Just a bare finger tight. And then I will start this side. Alright, I'll tell you what, I'll just sort of start it in there with my fingers. Make sure it goes through the hole well. And alright, now a little more than finger tight, but not wrenching it down. Just so it stays on there and holds well. If you feel that the switch is plate is coming loose, be sure to tighten it. If you had to, you could probably put some thread lock on there, because I think the insides are metal threaded. But that's it. Okay. Now, with the on side of the switch, this one here, this is the sensor for the battery, for the telemetry sensor for the battery. And so I'm going to plug that in, making sure I got black wire to black wire. So the on side of the switch is going into the receiver via the sensor on the telemetry module. Okay. And then the two off sides of the switches, the one off side, the white one, which is off to the charger, is just going to sit down in there like that. And here is the battery wire. So that battery wire is going to go black side to black side and to the off side of the switch. Okay. All right. So that's it. Okay, just another tip here. Got the switch in, but I want to make sure everything's working electronically. So I got my radio, going to turn it on, and the model should be set to the high wing, the Sonic high wing model. Going to turn the switch on. I hear buzzing. So the first thing I'm going to check is the tail here. Okay. First, the other thing I want to check here is make sure I've got the telemetry module. It says 6.3 volts, so telemetry is working. So I'm going to check the elevator, pull the elevator stick back, and that goes up over there. Forward goes down. Rudder goes right and left. And the throttle moves. Throttle is moving in the correct direction. Okay, so all of the servos are working. Those are working. I guess the wing's going to work. But we'll check that out in the final pre-flight. So just a little tip to make sure everything's working before you move on to the next step. Make sure everything's working. Thank you.